considering a run for president?
Well, I'm very serious about going to Iowa and going to various states and having this discussion about how we can become better again as a country, because right now we have 9.8% unemployment, and quite frankly, we can't continue to tolerate gas going up to $5 a gallon.
But how serious are you about a run for the presidency in 2012?
What I'm serious about is focusing on the issues. I think it's a mistake. I'm not concerned about my own personal ambition.
Wow, welcome back to Hardball. That was Meredith Vieira trying to get some information from Michelle Bachmann. It's always a tricky matter. That's not exactly a no, by the way, from the congresswoman from Minnesota, raising her profile and expanding her influence in the new Congress. Today she introduced a bill to basically wipe out the entire financial regulatory reform bill of that last year. And by the way, she's been tapped up by the Speaker, Boehner, for whatever reason to be on the Intelligence Committee. You got to wonder about that. And as you just saw, she's being asked about her presidential ambitions because she's heading off to Iowa to do some sort of trouble out there. Michael Isikoff's in NBC News. In fact, he's our investigative reporter. Shushannah Walsh, I want to start with her, writes for the Daily Beast. Shushannah, here's the question. What is this all just a brilliant sort of a phantasmagoric publicity machine? I mean, to announce that you're going to get rid of the entire financial regulatory bill, which you can't do, of course, because it'll never get through the Senate, never get signed by the president. What is it all about? Heading off to Iowa, getting on Intelligence Committee, heading up the Tea Party. What's the game here for Michelle Bachmann, who seemed to have started on this network, on this program one night when she said, I want to investigate all the Democrats in Congress for anti-American activities, like we're going back to HUAC or something. Go ahead.
I think you said it, that really she's a publicity machine. She's very good at raising money, and she's very good at raising publicity for herself. And this is what this is all about, her visits to Iowa, which I think it'll be more than this one trip. She'll make a few. Is she really going to run for president? I don't think so. But being part of that conversation, does she want that? Absolutely. And same with trying to repeal this financial reform. It's keeping her name attached to it. And also, she wants to be the leader. She clearly wants to be one of the leaders of the Tea Party movement. She founded the Tea Party caucus. So attaching her name to this, it's also good for her. It shows Tea Party members that are just coming in, freshmen, that she's going to be the leader that they should turn to. I mean, I think it's all about keeping her name in the headlines every single day. That's why we're here talking about her also.
Well, there seems to be an element of appeasement here by the leadership of the Republicans. John Boehner already coming in here as Mr. Clean, and the first thing he does is basically give away the store and put this person on intelligence. Michael, I want you to watch something she said on this show a couple years ago and tell me if you think this is the kind of person that belongs on the Intelligence Committee, if you're just objective about it. Let's watch her in action saying what she thinks our job in the media is to do. Let's listen.
I wish the American media would take a great look at the views of the people in Congress and find out, are they pro-America or anti-America? I think people would love to see an expose like that.
An expose. I mean, that's where her head was at. I don't know if she's gotten more developed or not, Michael, but why would they put her on the Intelligence Committee? To catch her like a mousetrap so she'll start talking and Boehner can get rid of her that way? Or what's he up to?
Well, that's exactly the question a lot of people are asking. You know, it's not just that, Chris. I mean, she's got a pretty long history of saying some pretty provocative, out there things that have not always been completely substantiated. During the remember when President Obama last November flew off to India after the election, and there were all those stories about how it was going to cost taxpayers $100 million, $200 million a day, all of which were bogus, taken from some account in some obscure Indian newspaper. Right. Michelle Bachmann was one of those who was feeding that and saying, well, I heard it from a newspaper, so therefore it was justified in saying it. So the question that's being asked, and including by some Intelligence Committee members, is this the kind of person you want to have on the Intelligence Committee, the guardian of the nation's secrets, somebody who really can't talk about anything you learn in that committee because most of it is highly classified. Shushannah called her a publicity machine. A publicity machine doesn't quite mesh with the profile of somebody you'd normally be looking for to serve on a committee like that.
Let me get back to Shushannah. We'll put it all together. What is her purpose here? Is it publicity? Is it there's something about the way she presents herself. I got to be careful here, but I don't quite get it. Is it I don't know what it is. There's almost an odd look you get when you talk to her on television. I don't know. What do you make of her sort of persona? What can you tell us about that we don't know?
Well, I think that the question, what is it all about, is an important question. I think that her ideals, what she believes in, she does very much want to be passed, want to the rest of the country to believe in as well. But I think that a lot of it is also being the center of attention. And, you know, I've spoken to a lot of former staffers. She has a problem with keeping staffers. She's had a lot of turnover. And even ones that still like her and hold her in high esteem talk about how much she needs to be the center of attention, needs to. And you're talking about somebody who's gone from 6 years ago complete obscurity to somebody who is a huge national celebrity, somebody who we can. Yeah. She's talking about running for president. I mean, that's incredible. And so,
well, what is the religious piece here? Because I don't want to push it too hard, but is there kind of a Joan of Arc thing going on here? The way you write that piece makes it sound like she's on a kind of crusade. I'm serious. Well, almost a messianic goal here, which goes beyond what we normally consider politics in America.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say Joan of Arc, but I think that her religion is a very important part of her, and it is definitely driving her. It is one of the reasons she said publicly several times that she turned to God when she decided to run for Congress. She, you know, when she's trying to either pass legislation, when she's praying, thinking about legislation, she does turn to prayer, and she's been open about that. When I was writing a profile about her and I spoke to close associates and friends, they said that she often turns to prayer in moments like this, and I think that that is what is very much propelling her in all ways, whether it's pushing legislation or higher political goals.
Yeah, well, I pray too, and I think prayer is wonderful myself, and I believe in it, so I'm not going to knock that. I just wonder whether her ambitions are a bit enlarged here beyond just political office. Does she see herself, finally question here, leading some kind of crusade to change America in this thing about having us investigate Democratic members of Congress for any American activities is the kind of extreme stuff, you know, we grew up reading about in the late 40s and early 50s. Go ahead, Michael.
Chris, if I could, I just, look, this really does, the intelligence, if I can, we just go back to the Intelligence Committee component of this. This has the added benefit, if she is interested in higher national office, of burnishing her national security credentials. She hasn't served on any International Affairs Committee, any committee that deals with national security issues. So by getting on intelligence, she's able to at least make some claim or have some credibility on national security issues. And I think you got to look at this assignment, which is raising a lot of eyebrows in the House in that context. And I should say, although she didn't go very far with on the Today Show with Meredith this morning, her sponsor was quite blunt about this today when I spoke to him.
On the
he said
table,
she's not taking anything off the table. Well, that's clearly leaving the prospect out there that she might well be running, and that's a reason for her trip to Iowa.
Well, I think we started her here, intentionally or not. I think we started Michelle Obama on her trip projectile from this show. Anyway, thank you, Michael Isikoff, and thank you, Shushannah. Thank you very much.